All right. I think we're going to go ahead and get started. And as other people log in, they can get caught up. If you just logged in now, I just let everyone know that I do have the microphones disabled tonight. We are recording this, so we can put it up again after this if anybody wants to rewatch it. I turn the microphones off just to keep things nice and quiet for the recording. But if you do have questions during tonight's presentation, feel free to use the chat and just send one out to everyone or to me personally, and I can take care of all those questions. I am the only staff member on the training tonight, so I may not get to the question instantly, but I will definitely be looking at the chat at the end of the presentation to make sure that we cover every question that was asked and get those taken care of. But other than that, let's get started and start looking at some of the stuff I want to talk to tonight. So if you're here, you probably want to know more about the registration system. We do have an online registration system that we use for all of our registration, payments, merit badges, all that stuff. So I'm going to try and show you a little bit of everything tonight. It's going to be kind of a sampling of all the different areas of it, so that way you can have some background knowledge, and also you'll have the ability to take a look at how the screen looks on your end, because right now you can't register for merit badges yet, so you can't really see that side of things yet. But when your system opens up for merit badge registration, you'll know what it looks like and already have all that stuff prepared. So if you're brand new to camp, this will be all fresh for you. If you're just here for a refresher, that's great too. The first thing that I want to talk about is I want to talk about our website. So that's where you go to log into your account. So the web page that you're going to go to is the www.psrweb.org, and that's where you're going to find the main Camp Frontier web page. When you want to log into your account, you're going to hit the login button up in the corner here, and that's going to take you to the main login screen. If you don't know the login for your troop, and you still need that, because everybody who's registered for camp should have a login because we have it set up, send me an email and I can get that information for you. If you maybe had somebody change over, new scoutmaster, new person handling summer camp, and you don't know how to get into your account, just shoot me an email and I will get that taken care of for you. So once you're logged in, I'm going to take you over to a different screen. This screen right here is going to look very similar to the screen that you're going to have when you're logged in. There are a few extra buttons on my screen because I am logged in as an admin, and it was easier for me to do that tonight for the training. So these admin buttons down here you won't see, but you will see all this right here. Up here in the corner, instead of seeing Pioneer Scout Reservation, you're going to see your own troop number and your council. So that's where that'll be. Outside of that, everything's going to look pretty much exactly the same. When you log in, this is the first screen that you're going to see, and the first thing that you should see up here under your events should be your summer camp week. I've got a couple ones in here that I've got programmed in for different various reasons. We're going to play with those tonight so we can take a look at how those work as we go through. But I do want to draw your attention to a few things on this home screen. So anytime you want to get back to this page right here, all you have to do is click the home button and it'll take you right back to this page. So if you ever get into the system and you want to come back here, the home button right here is how you would do that. A couple other things up here at the top, you have events, which is your default screen, and also trips. If you're using this account for other trips, for example, reservations at Pioneer Scout Reservation or Camp Neaconda, those would show up here when you click there. But we're going to look at the events one, and this is where your summer camp week should be. Also on the side here, did want to draw your attention to these three buttons because these are very important. The first one is called Manage Profile. That one is where you're going to have all of your basic information for your account. Yours will look a little different than mine. I've got a few extra buttons, but it's going to be the exact same setup. But I want to really draw your attention to this area down here where the primary contact is listed. So right here is where you can update your contact information. So when I send out emails to troops, I use this contact information and the system automatically sends it out. So if you ever want to update that email address that is the main point of contact for your troop, here's where you can do that. Also a phone number, that's helpful for us. So that way we can reach out to you if we need to, if we have any problems with your reservation. And then also something that we also ask is that you fill out your current address, whatever address you want to use for your troop. But sometimes we'll send out reminder postcards and things like that, or maybe reminder postcards for signing up for next year or something. So this is where we would find that mailing address. Also, if we do refund checks at the end of the year for anybody who has any overpayments, that's where we find that address as well. So get that address up to date, so that way we have the most recent contact information for you. Down here, you'll see alternate contact. This is where you can list an additional person and an additional email. You can put a phone number too, but the email is the important one. And this is where you can name a second person to receive every single update for your troop. So when I send those emails out, it'll go both to this email address and the one listed down below here. So you can put anything in there, make changes, hit save changes when you're finished, and it'll just take you. We'll just say that it's been saved, so you're good there. And then we'll go back to the home screen. Again, that was under Manage Profile. Another thing to keep in mind, so anything you're registered for like this entire like system is that contact information that's there. So when I send emails out for like SPL weekend, if you're registered through here, maybe you're registered for like Arrow of Light Camp, something else. Anytime we send an email out to registrations, it goes out to that main profile and the alternative contact. There's also an additional way to add 2 more contacts for specific events, for example, summer camp. And I'm going to show you how to do that in a little bit, but you have the ability to get up to 4 different people on an email list for summer camp updates. So we showed you how to get to 2. Those are the main points of contact for the troop. You can also add 2 additional ones per event. And I'll show you that just in a little bit. I do want to draw your attention over here to manage my group, which is that second one down. This one right here is where you're going to build your roster. Now, this is not where you're going to sign people up for summer camp. This is just a roster that's with your account that you can use for any event that you sign up for, but it's the roster you're going to pull from when you start doing merit badge registration. So to make merit badge registration go quickly, and so you don't have to type the name and the date of birth and all that stuff in as you're putting in merit badges, I recommend building this list ahead of time before your registration opening date, and that will give you the opportunity to go that much quicker. You can add as many people as you want to this list. They don't even have to be coming to camp. You're not committing to anything. It's just a roster that's held in your account. You can edit them by clicking on them. You can add new ones by clicking the plus button above or below for youth and adults. For summer camp, we're going to need the first name, the last name, the date of birth, and the reason we ask for a date of birth is that's how we figure out for those merit badges that have age restrictions, whether they're allowed to register or not. The system automatically uses the date of birth. And we're going to need the gender. That's the only thing that you need to put in is a first and last name, date of birth, and gender. You can fill out more if you want to keep that stuff up to date, but we're not requiring that for summer camp. When you make a new one, so when you hit new, it will let you just put in a first and last name and not have a date of birth on your roster. But when you go to register for summer camp and you pull that name into your summer camp registration, it's going to say missing date of birth, needs a date of birth for this event. So let's just put it in now so that way it's good to go. Same with the gender. But those 3 things are required for the summer camping program. So that's all you need when plugging those in. And again, we recommend building this list ahead of time before your registration. So that way you can have a much smoother process with doing merit badge registration when your system opens. The last thing that I wanted to draw your attention to from the home screen is the previous orders. So anytime you make a payment or anytime you make a change to something, these were all changes and things, but if you made a payment or something, either e-check or we received a payment at camp or something, it'll show up here with the dollar amount. You can click on that and you can generate a receipt if you ever needed a receipt. So that's where those live, if you ever need to look at those again. But we're going to go back to the home screen again, and we're going to jump into summer camp. So we're going to click on week 1 of summer camp. This is one of the play registrations that I've been using just to play around with things and show you some different things. So when you click on your summer camp reservation, you're going to be brought to your summer camp reservation homepage. You'll see a few different things. You're going to see your week number. You're going to see the dates for that camp. If you need to download a copy of the Leader's Guide, that'll take you to the Leader's Guide link online, also to our webpage, but you probably already know where that stuff is. As you scroll down, though, you're going to see some different boxes. The first one's the financial summary. So it's going to show you basically how much you still owe, so your current balance per what's set up in the system. So if you say down here that you're bringing 10 scouts and 4 adults, it's going to show you the current balance for that based on how much payments you've made towards that balance. As stuff is adjusted down here, this number adjusts differently. So that's just the current balance right now. If you ever want to see how much has been paid so far, you can click the little caret next to balance and you can see how much has been applied towards payments. Products, probably most people have $100 applied towards products because that goes to their site fee, which is that additional fee to reserve your site. So that's there. And as you make payments, it's going to take it there and take it away from your final balance. But if you adjust things down here, your final balance will also be adjusted. And I'll show you a little bit about that in just a little bit. If you want to make a payment online at any time towards your summer camp fees, here is the options. You can either click this button and it'll add your full amount to your shopping cart. So as you can see, it's added all the stuff in there. Or maybe we just want to make a partial payment. Maybe we just want to pay for a couple scouts or something like that. We can go in here and we can make a payment of any amount. Let's say we want to just put down $1,000. We could, oops, I have to hit save. And then it's just going to add $1,000 to our cart and then make a payment. And then you hit checkout and it'll take you through a payment processing screen where you can do that payment there. So that's how you can pay for things at camp or online for camp. If you go to the checkout screen, you'll see, so if you want to see what is all going towards, you can see here. We do have a credit card convenience fee. So there is a credit card fee for credit card processing. It's 2.5% of the total transaction. If you would like to do e-check, so if you scroll all the way down here to your payment screen and you select e-check, you guys are not going to have this button. This is mine. This is an admin one, but the e-check, it'll ask for your checking information off your checkbook, maybe a troop checkbook. But as you can see, when I switch over to e-check, when I come back up here, that credit card processing fee is now gone. So it's not charging, we don't charge processing fees for eCheck, but it does automatically attach a processing fee for credit card. And if you go down and select eCheck instead, it will remove that processing fee. Just so you're aware if you see that fee added on. I'm not going to go through the payment screen, but you guys understand how that works. You just put in the information, hit next, and it should process your payment. So we're going to actually empty our cart back out because we don't want to pay for any of that stuff tonight. So going down, that was the financial summary, and that's how you make payments towards camp. Down here, it's going to show what we're paying for in a sense. So it's going to show that we had 10 spots for Plan A and 4 for Plan A for leaders. So there's your youth and there's your leaders. The fees are already programmed into the system based on your login. So if you're an out-of-council unit, it's going to charge out-of-council pricing. In-council is going to charge in-council pricing. And after we hit our April 25th early bird day, any of these spots that are unpaid for in the system are automatically going to increase in price to the regular rate. So right now, the pricing you're going to see and how it's calculating this pricing is based on the early bird rate. On April 25th, that price goes up after that day. So that's your last day to make early bird payments, and any spots that are not paid in full by that date will be increased in price up to the regular rate. So just keep that in mind, that total will change if you haven't paid it off. Now, if you paid it down to 0 before that date, then it's all going to stay the same. It's good to go. You don't have to worry about anything, but anything that's not paid for will increase in price. And that's for those scout prices. It's an additional $20 per scout. Keep in mind, leader rates are always the same no matter when you pay them. So it's always going to be the same leader-wise, but scout rate does increase after April 25th. Down here on the registration spot, it's going to show us how many projected spots we have. We probably asked you for a projected number when you signed up for camp. You can make adjustments to those. It'll let the user on your end make adjustments to those all the way up until the early bird date. If you want to adjust them after that, you can just shoot me an email and I can make adjustments for those in the system. And here's the deal on making adjustments. I will always adjust your spots down if the spot is not paid for. Once you pay for a spot, it's yours to keep. We don't do refunds on spots with the exception of medical and family emergencies. So if you paid for a spot, you bought it, it's yours to keep. But let's say we get down to the pre-camp leaders meeting 2 weeks before your week at camp, or even maybe let's say we got to, even the day of camp and you still had an extra spot on there that you did not pay for. just let us know and we'll adjust that down so it's not showing that you owe those anymore. But if you paid for it, it's yours. The way I like to describe this, it says spots, but I like to also refer to these somewhat as tickets. So when you're paying for these before the early bird date and before your merit badge registration, think of it as buying a ticket for camp. We've got youth tickets and we've got adult tickets. Adult tickets, they're the same price no matter when you buy them. Youth tickets go up in price after the early bird rate day at April 25th. And when you purchase a ticket, it can be used for anybody, any leader, any scout, doesn't matter. Those tickets can be, moved around as much as you want. Let's say you buy a ticket for Johnny, he decides he doesn't want to come to camp anymore, and then Timmy decides he does. You can give that ticket to Timmy, we'll swap the name out, we'll do that all the way up until right before camp starts. So you can always swap tickets over to somebody else, but when you purchase them, they are yours. If you have any questions about how that works more or need more details, feel free to put questions in the chat or shoot me an email. Now, let's say we want to manage these. Like I said, you can manage these right now up until the early bird day, I believe. So we can hit manage spots or we can hit the manage button here. Either one's going to take us to the same screen. And the first thing you're going to see is your spots. These are going by the meal plan. So this is a plan A troop. So they're not going to have any spots for plan B and plan C because they're only allowed to have one. Now you could technically put them in for both, but your whole troop eats together. So you're going to want to pick one of the three, and we put it in based on when you reserved. So this is a plan A1, but let's say that we decided we want to adjust this down to 8. So we're going to go down to 8, and let's say we actually brought one more leader. We're planning on one more leader. So we're going to do 5 there. So we'll make those adjustments. Another thing I want to show you, don't worry about this stuff, that's an admin thing, but down here we talked about adding 2 more contacts per event. If you want to add 2 more additional contacts to receive emails for summer camp related emails, here's where you put the information in. And these can be different from the people on your main account. So if you put those in here, those will be there, and then just hit next, and then we'll show you how to save those at the end of the day. But that's where you put those in. All right, so this you're not going to see. Don't worry about the options. This is on my side. But it's going to take you right to a product screen. You're not going to see a lot of these products. These are admin only products, but the ones you will see are our equipment. We do offer equipment at camp, so you're able to request equipment if you want it. There's free of charge. We will stock it in your campsite. It does need to be set up when you get to camp, but it will be there ready to waiting to be set up. There's information on everything here. I recommend not making these requests today. I recommend making these requests a lot closer to summer camp when you have a good idea of what you need. The one thing that this system does is the way it sets up these products and the way it's working. You can always add more, but if you ever want to adjust down, I have to do it on my end. Again, these things are free, obviously, so it's not like it's costing you more to adjust more, but then if you were to say, oh, we don't need that many tents, then I got to do it on my end, so then we have to go back and forth with an email. If you wait until closer to your pre-camp leaders meeting 2 weeks before camp, that'll be helpful because then you'll know exactly how many you need and you don't have to make downward adjustments. So you can always adjust up. So that's how that works there. Keep in mind that if you're in a platform site, you do not need to request additional Canvas tents. Those are already going to be included at your site. Most platform sites have 16 platforms for a total of 32 people. So there's 2 beds in each. The other thing you don't need to request in a platform site is the cot, this adult leader cot. That's always going to be there ready to go for you. But you can request these in non-platform sites to set up if you'd like. Again, remember that this Canvas tent does not have a bottom floor. Most people bring tarps if they use these and they're set up with ropes and stakes. You don't know if you're in a platform site or not, or don't know how many platforms you have. I'll show you a quick tip on how to figure that out. And you can also email me and I can let you know. But you can request that equipment here, and as you add those things, like for example, if we added 7 cots, they would show up here on the top. But I don't want to do that today. So I'm just going to hit next. So now we can see our adjustments. We have now total of 8 youth and 5. It used to be 10 and 4. And here you'll see your campsite assignment. I can make adjustments on this, but you guys won't be able to. But you'll be able to see that there. So it looks like they're an Appleseed campsite, quote unquote. Okay. You'll go to next, and here's where you can choose whether you want to add this stuff to your cart and make a payment on it. So let's say that you wanted to pay it all off and you're good to go. You could pay in full. You could also say pay minimum required amount, which is $0. and just push the change through, so that way you're not making a payment, you're just posting it. Every single time you make a change, whether it's to anything here in the managed category, anything to merit badges, when you get to merit badge registration, adding a youth, subtracting youth, anytime you make a change to your reservation, it's going to add it to your shopping cart. But if you choose to pay minimum amount, it'll add it to your shopping cart at $0 and just add it to your balance, kind of like putting it on your tab. If you choose to pay for it, it'll add it to your cart and also add the payment as well. So that's how that works. But I don't want to make any payments today. I just want to put this in my system, so that way I have a new registration all set up. So I'm going to hit complete, and you're going to notice this big red box. This says there are changes or payments in your cart. Please remember to check out soon to finalize. So all those things I just did, they're not set in stone yet. They're still in my cart, which means they're not posted to the system. So all I need to do is either hit the checkout button or go up here to the cart and hit checkout. Takes you to the same screen, and check out these changes. And as you can see, it's just event registration updates for $0. So I'm going to hit checkout, and I'm going to, don't really worry, this contact info should be pulling off your main page. So I scroll through this really quick, but you shouldn't need to fill this out every time or anything. This is just where it pulls off of your main profile. I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom though, and I don't think you guys have a sender seat thing. That's mine. But basically what you'll hit is hit place order. You'll go all the way down there and place the order. We've placed the order. We're going to hit close, and it's going to take us back to the home screen again. We can click on week 1 of summer camp that we were editing, and now you can see that red box is gone. Our changes have taken place. We have 8 scouts, 5 adults now, and look at that total. I think it was around 4,000. Now it's down to 3,800. So that changed because we changed how many we're bringing, so that changed our price. So that's how that works. That's how you would manage spots or request equipment. Another thing that I want to talk about as we get closer to your registration date, and let me look at I wrote a little agenda for myself, so I want to make sure that I'm getting everything taken care of. Let's talk next about merit badge registration. So as you can see, we've got 8 youth spots and 5 adult spots, but those are just our tickets or our spots. They're not, there's no name attached to those. So if we want to attach a name to those, we're going to come down here, and we are going to go to this area. Now this area is not going to be live for you. You're going to have a little box that's above this that says merit badge registration opens at this date at this time. So you will not be able to do this today, but it will be open, and when the date hits, it's going to look just like my screen. If you're looking for the time that your merit badge registration opens, it's always at 4 p.m. on the date that's listed for your week. Those dates are listed on page 5 of the Leader's Guide. It's also going to have a little orange box here that tells you when it's going to open, and that'll be when you log into your account. So between those 2 places, that's where you can find when your merit badge registration opens. The registration system is a first come, first serve system. So you'll want to make sure that you get on close to the time that it opens or shortly after and start putting in registrations for merit badges. That allows you to make sure that you get the best chance on getting certain badges that your scouts are looking for. Couple things to keep in mind when registering for merit badges. We do have age restrictions on some of the higher level merit badges and some of the Eagle required. This allows for a smaller group of people who are eligible for taking that badge, which keeps them a little bit more available for those, and it's not open to the whole camp. But you do want to try and get some of those higher level badges. I'd recommend doing those first because those are the ones that are going to go first. And then doing some of the ones that have more offerings later. So if there's some first year scouts who are taking badges that have lots of offerings, perhaps try registering them later. If you have some, life scouts who are trying to get the last couple badges for Eagle, those might be the ones you want to register first because it is first come, first serve. Depending on your week size, will depend on how quickly those get used up. Another thing to keep in mind when you're doing merit badge registration is having that group already pre-programmed in. It's going to take longer if you have to type in all those names and date of births right now. But if you've already built your roster, they're all good to go. So you don't have to worry about that. So that's another thing to keep in mind there. Another thing to keep in mind with merit badge registration, as we make edits to these scouts and add them in, keep in mind that as you add things to your cart, They are not set in stone until you process your cart. I cannot stress this enough. I've had a couple troops every single year who do all their registration, add everything into their shopping cart, and they just don't process it. And then it sits for a couple months, and then they think they got all the badges they wanted. And when we actually try and process the cart, all those badges usually have conflicts because the classes are now full. So make sure you process your cart to make sure that it's done and it's in the system, because if it's not processed, it's still technically open. Yes, there are some times during busy registration where we have conflict. And it will let you know that when you process your cart that you have a couple errors because they've already been taken. My recommendation as we go through this, process a couple scouts at a time. Add a couple scouts worth of badges to your cart and then check out. When you check out, they're yours. It's set in stone, and then start adding a couple more. Don't spend 5 hours on there putting a troop of 40 people in and get your whole cart set up and then process at the very end, because you probably will have errors. Better to keep it going, and it keeps that list fresh so you always know what's still available, and it's more real time. So that's my recommendations and my tips and tricks when you're doing registration. So let's add our first scout. So it looks like we have 8 spots here. You don't have to pay for the spot to add it. We allow you to add registration even if the spot is unpaid for, but if you register, we're going to assume you're coming and we'll end up billing you at the end of the day for whatever you brought and whatever's registered. So, you know, if it's unpaid, we'll find you, we'll get the money eventually. But you can add without payment. So that allows you to get people in the system if you're still waiting on a payment from somebody. So we're going to hit add participant. You can also hit it here. You can also hit it here. It goes to the same place, doesn't matter. Let's add a youth. So it's going to take us here to the screen for our roster. This is our roster that we created. If we do still need to add somebody who's not on our roster, we can do that here. But I was planning ahead and I've got everybody in my roster that I need today. So I'm going to grab one of my people, and it's going to take me to his screen. I don't need to make any changes to this because we already have a date of birth and we already have a gender in there, so we're good to go. We're going to hit the next button, and it's going to say participant type. You're only going to have one to pick from because you're doing one of the 3 meal plans. So we're taking up one of these Plan A spots. We got 8 available. We're going to hit next, and here's where the classes information happens. So this is the list of the classes for summer camp. And as you can see, it's going to show you the name, how many spots are currently available. So this is how many are left. These are how many people haven't. So somebody's still got it in their cart, it's still going to show available. Once they process it and check out their cart, it's going to take it off of this total. If it's full, it's going to say class full. Here's the time that it's offered. So archery is offered at 5 times, 9, 10, 11, 2, and 3. This is archery at 9. It does list the prerequisites. So if you're interested in the prerequisites for that merit badge, they're also listed here online. And this one does also have an additional class fee, which you can choose either to pay for today, or you can choose to rack up all your class fees at once and pay it all together at once. That's my recommendation, is to just keep putting things in and not making payments on these, so it'll go real quick. Something else to keep in mind, which is a huge time saver and makes this go so much faster. This is a listing of every single merit badge at camp and every single offering. It's huge. I'd be scrolling for days if I'm trying to find certain things. It is alphabetized by, so it's organized by start time first, then alphabetically. But I just want to sign somebody up for archery at 3 o'clock. That's all the way down at the bottom of my list. What I can do is I can click my little search bar up here, this little magnifying glass, and I can start typing archery. And it's going to sort the list real time. So all I have to do is start typing it, and it's going to find everything. Now I haven't typed the full thing, so it's still showing search and rescue because there is an arch in there. But if I type the E, it's going to go away. And now I'm only going to see the archery classes. And now I can easily find the class I want, which is the 3 o'clock spot. So I'm going to hit add class. As I go through here, now that if I back all the way out of that search bar and get rid of all that, it's going to go back to my main page again. But keep in mind that as you add time blocks here, it's going to remove all the time blocks over here from that list. So I added a 3 p.m. There's 5 time blocks, 9, 10, 11, 2, and 3. I just added a 3 o'clock class. So now if I go down to the bottom, I'm going to see all the classes but the 3 o'clock classes. and I have 29 conflicting classes is what it says. So if I click this arrow, it's going to show me all the other 3 o'clock classes that would conflict with this. And for some reason, it's showing first aid. It threw me off for a second. These two, they're conflicting because they're 2-hour classes. So I was like, why are those there? But yeah, environmental science goes into the 3 o'clock block, so does first aid. So those they can't take. And then all the other 3 o'clock classes are listed down here because these ones are ones that are currently now not available because you already have a 3. Let's say I wanted to switch it out. Let's say I wanted communications instead. I can still go down here and I can still add the class, or let's do it the other way so we're not looking at this huge list. So let's say I wanted to do communications. C-O-M, there it is, communications. And it'll show it like this probably. It'll say, here's a 2 o'clock one, but no, I want the 3 o'clock. It must be down here. There it is, but I already have a 3 o'clock. If I hit add, it's gonna swap it. Now I've got communications here, and archery is back on the other side. It's not there anymore. So that's how that works. So this list will get smaller and smaller of available as you start adding things in here. So let's get another schedule of classes. Let's just add some things. So let's add archery at 9. Let's say they wanted that. See how all the 9 o'clocks just disappeared because they added a 9 o'clock? So now we've got our 10s. Let's say that we're going to take astronomy at 10. Let's do another thing. If there's an age requirement, it's going to list that here. Just keeping that in mind. ATV has 2 different courses for each time block, a 14 and up and a 16 and up. There's 4 spots for each. It's the same class, but we're only allowed for the ATV standards to have up to 4 under 16-year-olds per class. So these spots are for 14, 15-year-olds. These ones are for 16, 17-year-olds. If this 16, 17-year-old one is full, you can still sign up for this one as a 16 or 17-year-old because there's space. That's fine. But if this one is full, the 14, 15-year-old is full, and you have a 14 or 15-year-old trying to get an ATV, that class is now full for them. They can't take one of these spots. They're not old enough. So keep that in mind that if you have some additional people trying to get into ATV and they're 16 or 17, you can sign them up for the 14, 15 class. It's the same exact class. They're in the same place. It just allows us to limit how many 14-year-olds can get in. We weren't able to do that any other way. But let's take camping at 11. So we've got a 9, a 10, 11, and then let's do art at 2. All right, so we went through this and we've got our stuff. So we're gonna hit next. And then here's where it's gonna say, how much do you wanna pay? So the total for Jacob is $9 in fees, those extra fees. I don't wanna pay that right now because that's gonna throw off my mojo. I wanna keep going. I wanna get this done and get everything in there, and I wanna do it quickly. So I'm gonna just hit pay minimum required amount, which is 0, and hit complete. Now, if you go to your cart, it's going to add it. It already added it to my cart, and you can see Jacob's in here for all these badges. But Jacob doesn't have these badges yet. Somebody else could still take these badges. They're not mine until I process my cart. If you'd like, you can go now and you can add another one. So you could go to add participant again and add another. Notice that Jacob's no longer on my list because he's already in my cart. So we're adding so that those disappear, so it's easier to find as you whittle down your list. So I could go through this and I could add Jimmy and add his badges and add those to cart too. And then I could process them all at once. But if I'm really nervous about getting Jacob into this class, I might just go to checkout right now. And it'll have all this stuff. And I'm just going to go all the way down to the bottom. You guys won't have this. And I'm just going to hit place order. And it's done. We got his badges, it's good to go. Now, if one of those was conflicted, somebody already grabbed it before you, it'll give you an error message and say, hey, there's some errors, and it'll list which badges. And at that point, you'd have to go back, edit, and change the badges out for Jacob to a different one, and then go back through the process and edit the screen. Keep in mind that this process takes the same amount for every single person on here. So as fast as you can put them in is just as fast as somebody else can put them in. So it's not like somebody else is able to get things in faster, than you or anything like that. So everyone has an equal opportunity, and we really don't get too many conflicts as long as you're checking out your cart. I would say every 2 to 3 scouts, maybe every 4 to 5 on a lighter week. But yeah, if you're processing that cart every couple of scouts, you should be good. Just don't sit on there for hours building a cart and then process it. That's where you start getting into issues. So just keep that in mind, and that's how that works. Every time you process a cart, it takes you back to the home screen. Click on your reservation again and just keep plugging away at it. So we did that. Jacob's in there. Let's add Jimmy. So we got Jimmy here. Now it says 7 spots available. We had 8, but we already registered 1. We're going to go to classes, and we're going to register him. Keep in mind that it's using the date of birth for registration. So if you have a class that has they need to be so old, the way that this system works is it's the age they are the first day of camp. So if they are 13 years of age or older by the first day of camp, and it knows that based on their date of birth, it will allow them to add the class. If you add it and if they're not eligible, it's going to give you an error message that says not old enough to take this badge. I can put them in as an admin, and the way that I do this is, hey, I got somebody, they turned 13 the week of camp. Can they register? Technically, yes, but not on your end. So it's still going to not let you register that on the site. But if you have a couple people who are in that situation, we close down the merit badge system the day before your pre-camp leaders meeting, which is that one in Toledo. And when we close it down, if you send me an email and say, hey, really wanted to get so-and-so into camping, they will be turning it, or they're turning it the week after or something. As long as there's space available after everyone else has had their chance on those who are of age, I will get that taken care of, and we'll make the swap, or we'll get them signed up for it. But they do need to be of age by the first day of camp if you're going to do it on your end. That's how that works. So let's add archery for Jimmy. Paid minimum required amount. You go to my cart again, check out, scroll all the way to the bottom, and place my order. Back to the home screen again. So now I just registered Jimmy and I registered Jacob, and now they're showing up here under my participants. Let's say I need to make a change. Jacob no longer wants to take archery. He wants to take something else at 9 a.m. Well, if I click on Jacob's name, which is back here off my main screen, it'll take me to his current schedule. And I'm going to go here and I'm going to go to manage registration, and I'm going to go to edit. Now, let's say Jacob's no longer coming to camp and I want to clear that spot for somebody else. I could go to cancel as well and just get rid of him. It'll add it to my cart as a cancellation, and then I process it, and then that spot will be open again. But we just want to edit. So we're going to go to edit, and we don't need to make any changes to his info, but we could if we needed to. This has already been selected, so we're going to go next. And here we're back at our classes. I can remove archery, and it'll show me all the 9 o'clocks again. Let's say he wanted athletics, so we're going to add that instead. I'm going to hit next, pay minimum required amount, and now I'm going to go to checkout again to make those changes go in stone. As you can see, we're doing a negative archery, minus archery, plus athletics. Place the order. I don't want to see my receipt. And we're going to go back to our summer camp week again, and we'll notice that now when we click on Jacob, he's got athletics. He doesn't have archery anymore. So that's how that works there. And that's how you can make changes. When you do adults are the same exact way as scouts. So as you add adults, you'll hit to take up one of those spots, the plus button. You'll grab your adult. For adults, we do need name, and I believe we're just requiring name and gender for the adults. We don't need a date of birth. We're not doing merit badge stuff. But we do need a name and gender. You can add an email if you want to, but that's the biggest one. You can put your youth projection training date in here if you'd like, but we do like to see the cards or the print-offs of those. So, if you do put it here, we also would like to see the actual print-off, because these don't always get updated in the system. If you've been coming out to camp for a long time, we like to see the actual stuff. So that's optional, but we do need, it's just going to require your name and your gender. You'll hit next. We're going to take that one of those 5 leader spots, and then you are able to sign up for some of the leader classes ahead of time. So if you wanted to take like Scoutmaster specific, you can do that here. You'll see some things on here that are mine that are admin only as you do things at camp, but some of these will be here for you if you need them. So let's say that you do want to take your Scoutmaster specific class, you could add that. There's no limits on these. These classes have unlimited as far as spots go for the most part. The outpost, that's a different thing, same with the tread light, but most of the leaders courses are unlimited. on how that works. We'll hit next. There's no cost, but it'll say pay 0, and then we'll check out. We'll go all the way to the bottom, place our order. It'll take us back to the home screen again. And now you can see when we go down here that Stephen B. Porter is registered for camp. If you have people who are coming out to camp for partial leaders, so people who are only coming out for a couple days and not a full week, we can add them into the system, but you need to let me know or somebody know at the Toledo office so we can plug it in, because we don't have a way to get that discount plugged in on your end. So, for example, if you're doing full-time leaders, they're coming out, everything's available to you on the website. But if you have some people coming out for a couple days at a time and you want the prorated rate, we just need to know the name of the leader and how many days, and then we'll get that plugged in down here, and then it'll show up and adjust on your total up here. And you can make the payment online if you want to do it that way. You can send me an email and let me know what you want adjusted, and I can do that. You can also take care of that in the Scout Shop at the Toledo office when you're paying, and get that updated there too. But for partial leaders, that's how that works. If you have 2 leaders that are swapping out, so they're sharing a week, we need everybody's name on here. We want everybody on the roster. The way that partial prorated fees work is we charge for full days. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we charge for those days. Sunday, it's check-in day, don't care about that one. Saturday, checkout day, don't care about that one. But for Monday through Friday, those are the full days that we charge for, and it's basically divided out by the rate. So for example, if it's, $100 for a leader, each day would be $20, if that makes sense. Yeah, my math is right. So that's how that would work. If you have 2 people who are swapping out, so one's coming and the other one's leaving, and they don't really have any overlap, let us know that. And what we'll do is we'll just let us know the day they're swapping out, and we'll add that day to one person and we'll not add it to the other. So like if I'm going to come out and we're going to swap Wednesday, I'll put it in the system as my name for 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then whoever's swapping out will do Thursday, Friday. So that way at the end of the day, the fee will be the full regular rate. So we'll get that adjusted for you if that's the case. So that's how those partial leaders work there. If you have camperships, so if you applied for a campership, and this is for Erie Shores Council troops only, but if you have an Erie Shores Council campership, those will get automatically applied to your balance when they get awarded. So those will get put into the system after the due date of the camperships. So those will get automatically added to your balance and taken away. And you'll see those there pop up after we get that taken care of. Let's say we want to get rid of somebody. I talked about it, but we'll show you. Manage registration, cancel. Pay $0, obviously, confirm. And now we need to check out. We'll scroll all the way down here. Place our order. Go back, and now we can see that that one is no longer on our list. And now we have 7 spots instead of 6 because we just freed a spot up. So that's how you would cancel and take care of that. If you ever want to know, as you scroll down further right here, what products you have. So your site fee will show up here. That was the fee that we charge everybody for camp. That's the above and beyond fee for your campsite fee. Should be $100 unless you're sharing the site with another unit, then it is prorated. So if you're sharing with one other unit, it would be $50 for each. Or if there's 3 units, which doesn't happen very often, but if there's 3 units in the campsite, it would be $33. So that's how that would work there. And that's also where you're going to see any equipment that you request. It's going to show up down here. So that's where you can take a quick snapshot of that. So that's how you manage the account. If this price doesn't make sense, it's probably because you got to go down here and make some adjustments. So if you're planning on only doing partial leaders and you said you had 5 full-time leaders, then we need to get that adjusted so that price makes sense up here. Maybe you said you were bringing 15 scouts, but you're only bringing 11. Adjust your spots first down to 11, and then this price should look a lot more identifiable. Should be the correct price. If you ever have a question about details on why this price is what it is, The next thing I want to show you is I want to show you reports. So reports are right here, and there's a lot of different reports that you can pull for summer camp. A lot of these are more like class reports after the fact, but the one that's the most important one that I use all the time is this invoice report, and this is going to basically show you your full financial summary for summer camp. And it's always going to be based on this right here and what's been paid and what's not paid. So we're going to pull that right now. We'll hit open, and it'll open up our invoice. It's going to show the basic information up here. You also see your campsite up here. Oh, back to this screen real quick. I told you guys I was going to tell you about how you could figure out if you have a platform site or not. Here's where your campsite shows up. So this is the campsite we have assigned you in the system. If it has platforms, it'll be listed after that in parentheses, and then there'll be a number right after that with how many platforms are in the site. So if that's not next to the site, it doesn't have platforms. If it is there, it'll tell you how many you have. So that's how you can tell. Back to the invoice though. So as you can see, we've got Plan A scouts. We've got 8 scouts at $383. So that's early bird rate. And here's the total. Plan A leaders. One thing to keep in mind, we offer 1 free leader right off the bat for every single troop. So every single troop gets 1 free, and then for every 10 scouts you bring to camp, we give you an additional free leader. It automatically calculates that. So if I were to go to my, let me show you. Right now I've got 1 because we're only bringing 8, right? Let me go in here. Let me manage this. We're going to go back up to 10, and I'm going to go real quick through this because we already talked about how this works. There we go. All right, so I went back up to 10. I'm going to pull a new invoice now because it changed my stuff. Oops, I don't want to do that. Reports, invoice. Open it. You can see now I have 10 scouts here, and look at my free leaders went up to 2 free leaders. It automatically added that credit. So that's how that works. If this went up to 20 or more, that would be 3 right there for free leaders. I'm bringing 5 totals, what I said, so it's automatically taking the first 2 and making them 0, and then the next 3 at the regular rate of $177 for 531. If we had partial leaders in, it'll add another line, and it'll have an asterisk next to it, and then it'll show the leader down here, and it'll say partial leader and how much was discounted. So that's how that works. If you have any scouts who have additional merit badge fees, additional class fees, that's where this shows up down here. We have 1 so far. It's Jacob. He took art, and it's $4.50. So that's showing up here for $4.50, and then our total class fees would show up right here. Grand total for our full registration for summer camp, so everything that we're paying for between class fees and everything, is $4,465.50. Down here is where you'll see that I don't have any payments made yet, so I still owe that much. As you make payments, it will itemize those payments here each time you make one and either tell you whether it was made online or if it was made in person and list the check number, that kind of stuff, if we do that in the office. And each one will get itemized here, and then the total amount paid will be shown here on each payment, and then it'll be subtracted from your total balance. So this total balance will be how much you have left to pay. So the goal is to get that down to $0 at the end of the day. So that's what the invoice looks like. It's an awesome snapshot to get an idea of, okay, why is this number here? Why does this look like this? I need to know what I'm paying for. And you can say, oh, that's why that was so high. I'm only bringing 8 scouts or something. And then you can make that adjustment and then pull a new invoice and see that it's correct now. Other reports that are in here, you can pull the participant roster if you'd like to. This is just going to show you your participants coming out to camp. We don't use this for anything, but if you like to have a participant roster, when you're coming into summer camp, it'll automatically make one for you based on who's registered. Also in here, it'll show you a couple different things. There's some ways to download a lot of the data in Excel as a CSV file. If that makes sense to you, then that's where that's at. If you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about, Steve, don't worry about it. That's just if you like that data. Another thing that's nice is class schedule by person. So you could pull this and you could print off, this will print off 1 sheet per registration, and it'll have their merit badge class listing. So if you want to print these off for your entire troop and hand each one out at the beginning on Monday so they know what classes they're going to, that's an option as well. So there's a nice report if you want that for your troop. The last one I wanted to show you was the requirements completed form. I don't know if it'll show me anything on this because summer camp, yeah, it's going to be, well, no, it does work. Okay. So this requirements completed one did pull, but keep in mind that this one will change as we go through summer camp. So we use the system to keep track of their requirements as they do them in camp, and we try and get them in the system every night by 9 p.m. so you can see that day's info. So if you pull this report at camp, or if you're at home and you want to pull this report while your troop's at camp, it'll show you based on what's in the system, and it'll say like athletics, and then it'll have all the requirements that they've gotten done so far for athletics. At the end of the week, it'll go away from that, and it'll say complete at the end, or it'll say partial and list all the requirements they got for that week. So this is the report that we print at the end of the week and give out to each unit, and this is what you take back to the computer, and you can put that stuff in the Scout book, and it's all on one page or one document. We don't do blue cards at camp. You don't need to bring blue cards to camp filled out. We're not going to take them. We use the online system now to keep track of that because everything is digital. If your troop still likes to use blue cards, there is a report. It's a bit clunky, but you can print blue cards front and back, and it's like those 3-up cards that you could cut or print off and cut, and it'll do all the fronts and then all the backs. Don't print these until after summer camp's over with if you want to use them, because it'll automatically put all the info in there as the requirements are done. So you'll want to print these after camp, but I don't recommend printing these at all unless your troop truly likes to use these records. The other report's much nicer, and most troops are using Scout books to keep track of everything. So there's not really a use for those at the end of the day. But if you like them, feel free, they're there. I think that covers a lot of what I wanted to talk about today, but let me go through the chat and see what questions we have in here. And also, if you have any other questions come up that you think about, throw them in the chat right now so that way we can get those taken care of. And I'm going to try and go all the way up to the top. Here we go. So there was a question, somebody has a youth who 14th birthday is after the week after camp, and he would like to do ATV. ATV, unfortunately, is one of the classes that we don't have any flexibility on the age. They must be 14 by the start of camp. That's a national BSA rule. That's not ours. But that one they have to be. But for some of the other classes, if it's like another one, we have the ability to add, but ATV is one of the ones we cannot. Let's see. So they have a Plan A scout, but they have one scout. They're a Plan A troop, but they have one scout who would like to bring their food entirely or completely, and they would like to do Plan C. That's fine. Just shoot me an email so I'm aware. And honestly, you could take care of that on your own. You could have one scout at Plan C on your registration, and you could put that in and do it yourself. Or if you'd like assistance, I'd be happy to help you, but that works. The only time we do Plan C pricing for somebody eating in the dining hall is if they bring all their food entirely. But we do have refrigeration. They would want to bring everything in a cooler separate, that they can put in our walk-in, but they're welcome to keep the food up at the dining hall and eat it there and store it up there. Any exceptions to summer camp pricing for crossover scouts? Yes. So if you have any scouts that are crossing over into the troop, we do extend that early bird discount all the way out to June 1st. So if they cross over after April 25th and they still want to get the early bird discount, we can do that for them, but it needs to be before June 1st. And those ones will have to be put in by hand, by me. So you won't be able to do that up your own online, but if you have some, just send me the info, send me an email, and I will get them programmed in at the right price. We talk, when do we find out our site and if it has platforms. So if you don't know what site you're in, it should have been your first choice when if you did an online reservation. If you didn't get your first choice, you should have got an email that lets you know that. If you need to find the site you're registered for, just scroll down again to the bottom here and it's going to show your campsite. And if there's platforms, it'll be listed with how many after the campsite name. Let's see. Oh, okay, yeah. Somebody said they can see participant section. Yeah, you can see that, but when you try and add it, we'll give you a message. It sounds like you figured that one out. Okay, cool. Can 2 people be logged in and registering for larger troops? We tried last year and it did not allow. No. Yes and no. So will the system allow you to log in with 2 people? Yes, it will. Is it a good idea? No, it's a terrible idea. Because if you're logged in on 2 different systems, every single time you add something to your cart, it's going to cancel out the other person's cart. And you're going to have tons of headaches. It's not going to work. It will be a catastrophe. So while you can technically have 2 people logged in on 2 different computers to the same account, it's going to use anytime you add something to the cart, it's going to take it, refresh the cart, and put that new person's stuff in, and completely get rid of the other person's stuff. So don't try it. It'll cause you a headache. It's only one login at a time is what you want to do. Yep, still offering the 1 free adult and 1 additional one for every 10 scouts. So that's there. So I see that somebody said they have a provisional scout who's already registered, and they anticipate having 2 to 3 more scouts registering for provisional. So that provisional program is where you're coming out to camp as a lone scout without your leaders and without your troop, a different week at camp. If you sign up as a provisional scout, you'll sign up on the website. So if you go to psrweb.org, I just searched for provisional or provisional. I can't type today. And the registration form is the first thing that comes up. You'll input this information here, and then it gets sent to me. And then what I'll do is I will either find if you already have a personal login, I will find that. Or if you don't have one, I'll create one for you. And it's going to be for the parent or guardian. So whoever's put in here, that's who the login is going to get put in for. And then we'll send you an email saying, we got your registration. Here's your username and password to log in. And then your registration will be exactly the same. When you log in, you can make payments and everything. It'll look just like this, but instead of your troop number being up here, it'll be a personal account, so it'll have your name. But you can add your 1 scout. You can click on them when your registration opens for merit badge registration. Remember, that's per week. So whatever week you want to come as a provisional, that's when it'll open. And then you add your registration just like that, but it's only for 1 scout. The campsite assignment will happen when we get your provisional campsite set up. So whenever we figure out where you're staying, we'll assign you to that campsite for whatever troop is hosting. So you'll know what campsite you're in. And we haven't done all those yet because we're still looking for provisional host troops for a lot of weeks. I sent an email feeler out today, actually, looking for some additional ones. So that's how that works. So when will they be assigned a troop? They'll be assigned a troop when we find a troop, or sometimes, if we have multiple units, I have not made all the assignments. So if you've already registered as provisional and you don't see a campsite down there yet, then it'll be coming. We're still working on it. Payment made by e-check option immediate, like credit card payment. I believe so. So the way that an e-check is basically kind of like a direct wire from a bank account, from a checking account. So like if you make a payment with e-check, all you need is the actual checkbook in hand. It'll ask you for the name on the account, I believe maybe the bank, and then it'll ask for the routing number and account number. Those are on the bottom of any blank check. You don't have to use a paper check. We just need that info. And then it'll be like a direct transfer from your checking account to our checking account. I don't think it happens immediately, like instantly. It probably takes like 1 baking day, like 1 business day to make the payment, because it's like a wire transfer. But it should happen within, I think, one business day from your account to ours. So if you do it on a weekend, it may not actually happen till like Monday, but that's how that works. But yes, it's the same as like a credit card is, and you're just putting some information into the computer and hitting next, and it's good to go. I think that's every question that I see on the chat. If I missed one, feel free to put it in the chat again if you want to put it in again, but I think I've gotten all those taken care of. Let's see. Well, let me look at my agenda real fast just to make sure that there's nothing else on here that would be beneficial to show everyone, but hopefully this gave you a good idea of what the registration system looks like and how that works. Some other things to keep in mind. If you go back to just our normal web page, psrweb.org, I will give you a brief tour real quick here just to show you where some of the stuff is. But that Leaders and Parents Guide, that's here under the Summer Camp tab. Anytime we make changes to that, we list them and the page number. So that's all there. But another thing that's helpful, if you go to the Forms and Links page, I did update this after the pre-camp leaders meeting, the kickoff meeting that we did on Zoom. And somebody asked for a way to just get all the required forms for camp, so everything that's required for everyone. And so I did add a button there that you can click, and the youth, there's 2 forms that are required for every youth attending, and then there's 3 things required for each adult attending, depending on whether they're over 72 or under 72 hours attending. So that's there now off that main page. Hopefully that's helpful. There are additional forms for different things like merit badges and things, like if they're taking ATV, that is an additional one. Aviation also, I think, has an additional permission form, but that's just for those kids in that class. But what I really wanted to show you on this page was a link down here. So on the office forms and links, the last one's called Online Registration Help Videos. And I recorded myself going through a lot of the stuff that I did on the training tonight, and I put them on YouTube. So if you ever want to look at some of that stuff in detail as well, those videos are here. So if you ever need those, you can find those there. I'm also going to put this video up on our YouTube channel and email a link out to that as well. Let's see. That's most of the stuff, but that's where all those great links and things can be found. Is there as well. Why were there Michigan forms if we're in Ohio? So Camp Frontier is actually on the state line. We're half in Michigan, half in Ohio. We're an Ohio address, an Ohio council, but our property, just our specific property out here, is on the state line, and the state of Michigan has additional background check requirements for any youth serving organization, not just for Scouts. So we require that background check because if we do have any issues on Michigan soil, that would be required, and they'll be asking for proof of that. So we do need to have those, and they do need to be updated every year now. The state of Michigan changed that last year. So it used to be that you could do it once and then keep that on file. They no longer allow that. It needs to be of the current year. So we will only be accepting Michigan Central Registry clearance forms for the current year. So they need to be dated January 1st, 2022 or later. Is there a picture of the camp hat available? Yes, I think I put it on, I think I put it on the order form, but let me double check. Maybe I didn't. I can get one of those up there. I know I put the shirt up. Yep. So I know I put a picture of the shirt up. The camp hat will have this similar logo on the front of it. It's going to be exactly the same. The logo will be on there, but I will see if I can't get a picture of that up on the website, so that way you can see what the hat looks like. I'm just making a note because I will forget. All right. Keep in mind that if you're doing a pre-sale t-shirt order, these ones right here, either you can either customize them and get your troop number on the sleeve, or you can just buy them ahead of time. You get them at a $2 discount if you buy them ahead of time. But these orders are due by the early bird date. We won't be accepting orders after that date. Same for customized early bird hats. So if you want to customize your early bird hat, that is also going to be due by that date. So that's how that works. Early bird hats, the way those work, every single scout and leader who pays by the early bird date, so how many tickets you buy for scouts and leaders by the early bird date, we'll give you that many hats. So you'll get free hats for your whole troop. If you don't do this customization form, which you don't have to, they'll just arrive and they'll be blank. So that'll be a regular hat, but no troop number or anything on the back. But if you'd like to get your troop number and hometown embroidered on the back of the hat, you're more than welcome to for an additional cost. If you want additional hats, so let's say you had a couple people sign up late and they still want one of the early bird hats, we always have early bird hats available in our trading post. They'll always be there. We don't run out. We order enough for the whole summer. So you can purchase them there at camp. I think they're additional $12. So I don't see any more questions coming up in the chat. So unless anybody else has anything they have questions on, thank you guys so much for being out here tonight. And we wish you the best of luck when it comes to summer camp registration. If you have any questions, please just send me an email. I'd be happy to help, or you can call as well.